Hi everyone, I'm Chef Dave Palmer and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be making an organic stew made with vegetables and of course lovely spices and herbs to bring it up a notch. All these organic vegetables came from Misfits Market, who I partnered with for the recipe that you're about to see. You're going to need your stock pot. This is an 8-quart stock pot. If you don't have one quite this big, a slightly smaller one will do. Just adjust your liquid accordingly. Got your cutting board here. Good sharp knife. This is going to be for our compost. And there won't be a whole lot of that, but a little bit. And then all of the ingredients, be ready to rock and roll. So let's get started. Now many of you are seeing me probably for the first time, so I'll tell you a little bit about my mission while I'm prepping this onion here. My mission is to have more people cooking at home. That's the bottom line. It's healthier, it's better for you, it's better for your families, it's better for the environment, it's better for a lot of things. And I like to use all organic ingredients, and I understand not everybody has easy access to those. But now that I have a relationship with Misfits Market, which is a subscription service, I get fresh organic vegetables delivered to my door every single week, which is amazing for me and for my family. I live pretty far from the nearest grocery store, and so getting organic vegetables brought to my door is just absolutely amazing. Now, a little bit about me. I am a chef, but I'm a chef without a restaurant because I had a restaurant and we had to close a little while ago, probably a year and a half ago. And actually going on 2 years, I guess. Right before the pandemic kind of took over everything. So, I'm a chef without a restaurant, but I brought a lot of my recipes home with me because, well, my kids still love the food, and I get a lot of local community people saying things like, you know, are you ever gonna open up again? Well, not right now. So here I am teaching you all how to make things at home, a lot like what I would make for myself and for my family. And so I've just chopped up one large onion. I just quartered and sliced it. And we're going to add some olive oil. That's probably about 2 tablespoons. And it's time to turn on the stove. Now, while I'm cooking a soup like this, I don't typically start with water. Some people do start with water, but I find that if I saute the vegetables to start with, they have a deeper flavor instead of the flavor of just straight up boiled vegetables. So I set my temperature to medium, and this is my method that I call prep on the fly. That means you start with one ingredient, you get it started cooking, then you move on to the next ingredient. So we're going to go on to some beautiful organic garlic. And before anybody loses their mind here, yes, I'm going to use the whole head of garlic. So when you start to see the onions becoming translucent or caramelizing, probably want to reduce the heat just a little bit so we don't burn them When you're prepping on the fly, sometimes you have to lower the heat just a touch so you don't burn something while something's going slowly, like this terrible garlic peeling I'm doing here. You know, of course, if I wasn't on camera, this would be like peeling like pulling back the bed sheets. But no, not today. Those onions are starting to look beautiful, nice and caramelized. So here's a little tip that I figured out a while back. If things are cooking a little too fast and you need to slow them down because you've got a problem, like I did with the garlic, you can certainly add a little bit of water, in this case, to deglaze your pan, or your pot in this case. Slow down the cooking just a little bit, which you're going to add that water anyway. So I just dropped 2 cups of water in there. And then we're going to take care of our garlic here. Just mince it up. I've added my garlic, starting to heat up again, which is kind of good because that means I don't have to worry about burning the garlic. And next we're going to add another ingredient, carrots. I'm not going to peel my carrots. I don't really see any reason to do that. The skins are just as tasty and delicious and nutritious. We're throwing it in the soup, so it's not like we're making a fancy board with a crazy presentation. This is soup for my family, you know? So, you want your carrots to be about, I don't know, what's that, 1/8 of an inch thick? No thicker. If you want to go thinner, you can certainly do that. And just add them to your pot as you're prepping them. And I realize not everybody is as fast with a knife, but some people are way faster than I am. So don't be discouraged, just do your best. Slice them up, get them in the pot. So some of you are probably wondering, why in the world did he only put that much water in soup? Don't worry, we're getting there. But when you're cooking things that are hard, like carrots that take a while to cook, I like to put them in as small amount of liquid as possible so that they cook faster and everything is closer to the heat. Next, we're going to add some peppers. I've got these lovely green peppers. And I've done this soup in the past with red peppers. Just choose whichever kind you like. Green, yellow, red. There's even purple peppers out there, which happen to be delicious. And then quarter and slice. Similar to the carrots, you don't want to have just giant chunks of peppers in there. Some people would probably dice them up a little bit smaller than I do, but I really like to get a big bite of flavor when I bite into a bite of soup or stew. And this is stew, it's supposed to be hearty and thicker and have a little bit more oomph to it, if you will. Alright, so we're going to do this 3 times. We got 3 peppers, so off we go. So I've stirred in my green peppers. We're going to move on to mushrooms. Some lovely cremini mushrooms. Cremini is just another name for baby bella. So they're baby portobello mushrooms. I'll be using 2 containers of those. I guess they're 8 ounces, so 16 ounces of mushrooms. You don't want to cut your mushrooms quite as thin as you do peppers and the carrots because they shrink a little bit, so you don't want them to shrink too much or they'll lose their meaty texture. So on a mushroom about this size, about 4 slices is good. Maybe 5. Alright, so we've got all of our mushrooms in there. And mushrooms cook pretty quickly, so I don't want to leave them in there for too long. That's the concept behind my prep on the fly, 1 pot, 1 pan kind of cooking style. You put the hardest ingredients that take the longest to cook in first, and then put the softer, less heavy ingredients in last. Alright, so on to cabbage. We have a kind of a small red cabbage. The last time I made this soup, I made it with a slightly larger cabbage, but that's sort of the thing about misfits is sometimes you get a huge one and sometimes you'll get a small one. You never know. I'll discard that one outer leaf. It was a little bit dark and dry. And then I'm going to core my beautiful cabbage. Isn't that nice? And I don't know how you core a cabbage, but I cut it in half and then cut out this triangle here at the base, which is not inedible, but it's also not so nice to eat. So it's a little bit heavy. You kind of have to cook it to death to make it edible or enjoyable. And then just you can put it through a shredder if you wanted to. I usually just cut it into a sizable chunk and then slice just like this. And if you get some big pieces, just trim it up a little bit. No big deal. This is our stew, and we're going to do it however we want to. Just dump that right in. Definitely could use any cabbage that you want. I like this red or purple cabbage. I like it, one, because I like the flavor of it, but also because I like the color. It's nice we got a whole little rainbow going on in here inside our pot. Give it a good stir. You can also see the juices from the vegetables as they cook sort of forming at the bottom, forming a nice vegetable stock. So we don't have to add any stock to it because we're making our own stock right here and now. Look at that beautiful rainbow of colors. Alright. We're almost all the way there. I'm going to add some organic black beans and some organic red kidney beans. These are canned, but they're organic, so use them in good health. So I've drained these beans. It's time to start adding some water to our recipe anyway, so rinse out your can. It's 15 ounces, so roughly 2 cups. It's like 1 ounce short of 2 cups. So let's do the math. We've got 2, 4, 6 in there. We're gonna want to have probably about 10 to 12 cups of water added to our mix here. Alright, that'll make 12. You see why I started with a pretty good sized pot, right? Let's give it a stir. And you don't have to use a spatula like I do, but I like to use the spatula because it has a flat edge and you can scrape across the bottom of the pot and make sure that nothing is sticking. Alright, next comes the spices and the herbs. So we definitely need some salt because we haven't added any salt to the recipe at all. I'm using a Himalayan pink salt. I believe that's also available from Misfits Market, but I had this before that was available, I believe. So let's say that's about a teaspoon, let's go a full tablespoon because got a lot of vegetables going on in there. And the Himalayan pink salt is one of the ones that I really like. It really brings out the flavor of a lot of foods. I'm going to add some basil to give it a little bit of zip. That's probably about maybe 1 teaspoon, maybe not quite that, or maybe a little more like 2. We're going to add some black pepper, probably about a half a teaspoon of that. Here comes the big one. Smoked paprika. I guess I need to use the other side. It's got bigger holes. I love smoked paprika, and in fact, I'm gonna add close to 2 tablespoons. Don't freak out, that's spread out, so it's not as much as you think, but it really adds a nice flavor to everything. And then I'm gonna add a little bit, probably like half a tablespoon, or a teaspoon, half a teaspoon of chipotle powder, and it's also got a nice smoky flavor to it. I'm going to turn the heat up, since we've added all this water, we gotta bring it back to a boil. So I'm on medium-high right now. Forgot one last ingredient. You know, that always happens when you're cooking on the fly. Tomato paste. And I'm going to show you a trick that my mom taught me when I was pretty little. Cut off the top and also cut off the bottom using your can opener. And you can literally just push it right out. Now, I'm going to catch it with the spatula. Kind of comes out in a nice little column there. And just pull off your lid, or the bottom, and stir it in. That's 8 ounces of tomato paste. I don't like to put too much tomato paste in a stew because it can overwhelm it with tomato flavor. While this is cooking, I want to take just a minute to talk about my partner, Misfits Market. They are fantastic. I've been a subscriber of Misfits Market for over a year now, and what it is a subscription-based service where every week or bi-weekly, whatever you choose, fresh organic vegetables are delivered to your door, and they come every week or bi-weekly. Like, you subscribe, and you can get a mystery box, which I've done before, where you don't know what's coming, and it'll be a mix of different organic produce. It's not like you're going to get a box full of onions or something like that. Or you can customize. Now everybody has the ability to customize. And you can also shop their marketplace. And that's where I got some of the things like the beans today and the mushrooms. But then the cabbage and the peppers and the onions were all part of my regular subscription box. So lots of opportunity there. Also, it is very affordable. You're getting organic vegetables at about 40% off of grocery store prices. And I recently walked through the grocery store, and that is absolutely true. There's no way you'll get the quality and the variety that you can get from Misfits Market from your local grocery store without paying a lot more for it. So, I've got this coming back to a boil. Just going to give it a nice stir here. It's looking good. It's starting to thicken up a little bit. And, you know, it's stew, so you want to let it stew a little bit. But so you can be a little bit hands off at this point. You can turn down your temperature just a little bit so it simmers and all those flavors meld together. You can do the soup in about 30 minutes. It typically takes a little bit longer if you are wanting all the vegetables to be soft. But if you're rip roaring ready to go and you're hungry like I am today, then just rip right through it, do your prep on the fly, and you can make a stew in about 30 minutes. Look at that. I love how the colors start to meld together too. Thanks for joining me in my kitchen. I'm Chef Dave Palmer, and I want to remind you to be happy, healthy, and kind. See you next time.